Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, hit the like button, and let's begin. The first story. Teacher didn't want to let me out of class, so I complained about her and she was fired. The second story. Worker was stealing from the store. He was caught red-handed. He was fired and arrested. The third story. Fiancé tried to take everything because of an error on the bank's part that resulted in our car being repoed, screwed herself over in the process, then I put the final nail in the coffin by suing her and winning. And the first story is, deny basic human rights, lose your job. So this happened when I was in grade 10, age 15 to 16, 2006, so a while ago now. I went to a very expensive private school in Australia, which was basically a cookie cutter for accountants, lawyers, and surgeons. I wasn't that type of student. I was an artistic outcast of sorts. At that stage, I only had a small handful of friends. We had 6 55-minute periods, 2 in the morning, recess, 2 in the middle of the day, lunch, and then 2 more before home time. This particular day was a warm day, and in Australia, warm means 32 degrees Celsius, and it was 5th period. We had religion class. I'm the opposite of religious, so I don't particularly like this class, nor the teacher that much. But I knew it was important to try my best. In the 4th period, I got dry and thirsty, so I made it my priority to drink a stomachful as soon as it became lunchtime. This is important. Fast forward to 5th period in religion class with entitled teacher, E.T. I was working with a partner very close to the front of the class, and my teacher's desk. I was fairly involved in my work, and wasn't concentrating on much else, other than trying to finish the prescribed work. I noticed as the time goes on that big drink was working its way to my bladder. I tried to put it off and just concentrate on my work. I didn't notice the commotion developing towards the back of the class. Not many students took religion seriously. Neither did I, but I wanted to try. My teacher was getting annoyed with the troublemakers, and I knew she was known to double down on the class as a whole for bad kids. So I raised my hand before things got too bad, and asked, "Miss, may I please go to the toilet?" She replied, "You had all lunch to go, so no. You can wait till the end of the class." I didn't want to push it, so I just let it go, and thought that if I got to busting, I'd ask again. The class often got noisy and she would condemn us all and tell us to stop talking. Mind you, I was only talking quietly with my partner. I started really busting to go. I was jittery in my seat and developing sweat on my forehead. I whispered to my partner, "Man, am I busting?" And he said, "Ask again?" So I did. Big mistake. She glared at me and said no. So at this point, I couldn't concentrate on my work. That full belly of water was now in my bladder. I decided to ask one more time. "Miss, I can't even concentrate anymore. I'll be 2 minutes max." We were right above the toilets and had the stainless next to the classroom. "I don't care," she said. I'm pretty peeved off, because I'm not sure what type of lesson this is trying to teach me for my professional life post-schooling. Enter troublemaker kid. He starts acting up and starts a mini scuffle with another student. E.T. screams at him, "If you don't want to be in this class, you can leave." He looked blatantly at her and said nothing. The class went silent. I saw my chance. I stood up in class and yelled at her, "Oh, you won't leave? Fine, I will." And I turned to walk out. E.T. reels around and said, "If you're gonna leave, you can march yourself over to the year-level coordinator's office and tell him what you've done." "Oh, wrong thing to say, Miss E.T." I was halfway out the door at this point with my back turned to her. I turned on my heel with a massive smile on my face and said to her, "Yes, I'd be happy to help. I'll tell him all about you." I walked out and the silence was broken by a roar of testosterone-filled teenage boys like that you would hear at a boxing match. I then went to the coordinator's office beaming, but shaking with nerves, and proceeded to tell him the story. I'm so glad the school are very careful to put level-headed people in these positions. Shortly after I finished explaining, I got the mandatory "you shouldn't have done that" speech, and was told to go to my next class. The next day, my homeroom teacher told me I wouldn't be going to that class, but instead would have to go to some other English enrichment class or something like that. Also, my friends had told me what happened in the class after I left. There was a huge uproar even from the kids who didn't like me about my treatment, and everyone hates her guts now. It was 2 days at least, and I'm at my locker, which is very close to the coordinator's office, and I see her sitting out the front in a student's chair. Oh my, that's a step down for a teacher at my school. She was absolutely bawling her eyes out. I didn't see her at school for a whole year, and only saw her teach one class the year after. A lot of people told me she lost her job after that. Sometimes karma needs a little push. The next story is, hardware store makes example of thief. In high school, I worked for a big-name hardware and home improvement store. The store had just opened up in our little town, and it was set to knock the local hardware stores out of business. You had to drive at least 40 minutes to the next closest chain store of its kind. We were busy all the time. The local stores, lumber supply, mom and pop hardware, tractor supply, equipment rental, and others were all losing business to us. I think the fact that we were performing in excess of our expectations played an impact on what happened next. My boss, we'll call her Carrie, was the one I brought all issues to concerning theft. I almost entirely facilitated training, safety, and moving stuff around the store, but I technically worked for loss prevention. I did not know at the time but learned afterwards that Carrie was trying to pinpoint lost money from the registers, and she reviewed the camera footage until she figured out who took it. We'll call him Zach. Zach was in my graduating class, so that's likely why I didn't find out about it until it was all over. They were sure that he had stolen about $80 from the registers and had the video footage to prove it, but that money was already gone. Carrie wanted to do more than just fire him. She wanted to catch him in the act, in front of other staff, then fire him. She had his schedule changed so that he would work a closing shift in the coming days. Closing shift typically means the store manager, and most of the management staff was gone. She figured if he was going to do anything, he would do it on this day. If not, she was just going to fire him anyways. She stayed well beyond her normal schedule and quietly kept tabs on him. She lucked out, and while he was taking boxes out to the dumpster, he ended up taking a box out to his car. Caught in the act, she walked him back into the store, to her office, and processed him. They did the normal stuff, documented the event, the item that was trying to be shoplifted, and had him sign the paperwork and fired him. What usually happens in these events is we ban the person from shopping at the store. We put their information in the system and tell them to not come back. But in this instance, given the MSRP of the equipment he tried to steal, and the $80 he was going to get fired for anyways, that brought the total just over $500, which was just enough to be a felony theft. They involved the police and took him to court. Since he signed off on the theft and was caught by the loss prevention manager on the day it happened, there was not much defense for him. The judge gave him some community service. The real redeeming part of the event was the addition of a felony to his criminal record. Before school was over, Zach had lost all of his basketball scholarships. I don't know what compelled him to steal that power tool, but I doubt the rush of getting away with it was worth it. He couldn't pay for college on his own, so he never went. He cuts hair and smokes now. The last story is, after 4 years, she left for no reason, took everything, and now her life is falling to pieces. I dated a girl for about 4 years. Let's call her Brandy. We were best friends before we dated. Then we dated for about 4 years. She was awesome. I loved her very dearly. As far as I knew, we were awesome together, and great as friends and as lovers. We rarely ever fought. We got along great. We got engaged and had plans to get married. As far as I knew, everything was perfect. In fact, I still doubt I'll ever find another partner that I'm that compatible with. I spoiled her too. Maybe that was my biggest fault. I always let her go shopping whenever, wherever she wanted. I kept her fed from a golden spoon and wrapped in the finest linens. Even if she didn't ask, I typically enjoyed spoiling her. That's just how I am. She had recently gotten a part-time job as a funeral director's assistant, paying $10 an hour, and I had subsequently gotten her a new cell phone line for her as a work line, as a celebratory gesture, because she had been wanting a Note 5 and wasn't due for an upgrade. She said she would pay for the balance on the old phone with her first check. Then one autumn day, our only car got repoed. She called the bank. The bank said I was 3 months behind on my payments. I knew that wasn't right. That's when she told me it wasn't working out. She said she was tired of being broke and struggling financially. She wanted something better out of life than being broke all the time. The interesting thing to note here is that she hadn't worked in a couple years and had been living off of my paycheck. I'm a network engineer, live comfortably in a fairly nice house with lots of the latest toys and gadgets, and everything but my newest car is paid for. I would hardly call that struggling, but it apparently wasn't good enough for her. So she left after the car got repoed. I was upset about it and went to my mother's house for the day while she packed her SH. While I was at my mom's, I paid the repo fees and the past due balance for the amount the bank told me that was owed. Turns out the balance was for a different account. The bank had repoed the wrong vehicle and given me the wrong account number to pay. So I paid somebody else's account. They fixed it, applied the balance to my not past due account, and promptly gave me my car back. I came back that evening with some friends and she had taken everything. She took all the furniture, except a couch and my bed and my kids' beds. She took collectibles, decorations, food, basically everything that wasn't nailed down. Also, when she left, she took her 2 cell phones that I've been paying for on a payment plan. So I still had to deal with my cell phone bill being $300 a month for 3 phones, when I only used one of them. I still owe $1,200 for the 2 phones. Then there was a matter of a $2,000 loan she had taken out with my mom that she had agreed in writing to pay back. I sent her an email a few days later asking for my stuff back and for the money she owed, and she responded that I was harassing her and that if I ever contacted her again, she would call the cops and threaten bodily harm for her stepdad. So I suspended her lines and didn't say anything. She called me from a borrowed phone the next day to ask me if I was going to tell her before I turned her phone off. I said I didn't feel like I need to, since they were my phones and the account was in my name. Since then, she's tried to have my electricity turned off, which didn't happen because they called me to confirm. She's tried to sell my car without having it in her possession, which failed. She has tried to call the police on me for harassment, dumped trash in my yard and called the homeowners association, and broken into my house and left things and taken other things on several different occasions. I've changed my locks and set up security cameras since then. So enough of the backstory. Here's where my revenge comes in. I took her to small claims court for $9,500 for property and damages, and all the money she owed and I won. Granted, I have to pay to have that enforced, and honestly, I don't even care to enforce it. But I won. Revenge is mine. I also got a promotion at my job since she left. Was recently given a raise and a big fat bonus. Just got a $1,000 voucher from Delta since they screwed up my flight, and things are generally better than they had been before she left tenfold. She lives with her mom in a tiny room with no air conditioner and no heater. Can't get a car. My buddy owns a car lot. She tried to buy from him because everybody else had turned her down. He turned her down on principle. Or a cell phone because of her credit, and relies on friends and family to drive her to her 2-day-a-week job in school. She also owes $40,000 for school loans for her first couple years, and she's got 4 more years left to go. But I guess that's better than struggling, right? Edit. After I suspended her phone lines, she got really angry and attempted to get revenge in a number of ways, all of which failed. 1. She tried to sell my car to a dealership without having the car with her. How stupid can you be? 2. She tried to have my electricity turned off. 3. She hacked my Facebook. 4. Broke into my house several times. Left things, took other things, until I changed the locks and put in security cameras. 5. She tried to close out my loan account with the bank and have them repo my car. They told her as long as it was being paid for, they wouldn't repo the vehicle under any circumstances. 6. She tried hacking all my email accounts, bank accounts, Steam account, Xbox account, and any other account she could to try and screw me over. 7. She managed to cancel one of my debit cards, but it wasn't my main one, and she didn't take any money. She just wanted me to face the difficulty of not having a debit card. 8. She threatened me multiple times. Physical bodily harm from her stepdad and brother. 9. Dumped trash on my lawn and called the homeowners association. 10. Frequently sent me pictures of that cat that we adopted. This one hurts a little bit, but I'll never let her know that. 11. Made sure that everybody knows what a horrible person I am and how SH I was throughout our entire relationship. Subscribe, click the like button if you want to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.